welcome everyone to day 2 of the APAC Spring Stage Knockouts. We're going to be knocking out some semifinals today and knocking some teams down to the lower bracket. Kiwi and Leg Day bringing you through the first 2 matches of Group A and Avril Achilleos on the other side of Group B. We have some mega bangers today.
Oh yeah, like Lemon talked about, everyone's going down to the lower bracket today. We aren't doing any knockouts because all our winners semi-finals, but every single match that they've got up on the docket is going to be a certified banger. We've even got some truly mystifying ones like SPG versus Dallas Fuel. People don't know exactly what to expect because, hey, SPG, spoiler alert, have knocked out or knocked down an Owl team already. And Dallas Fuel, of course, have been here and there in terms of their efficacy. So can SPG continue doing it? And SPG as well, not even one of the top teams out of Korea right now. They are like 3rd, 4th, maybe, out of ones that we know. We're seeing a bunch of the best teams out of Korea today, though, including one that's going to be coming up in our first match in Poker Face. O2 Blast yesterday, we saw plenty of them, and they summarily dispatched their contenders' opponents of Panthera and regional rivals, and certainly looking to maybe try and challenge for that mid-season Madness spot, but they've got a big obstacle in their way in the form of Soul Infernal, who we'll also be seeing later today.
Yeah, Dreamers got knocked down. They were that number 6 seed coming out of Korea who surprised a lot of people in the open, got beat down by Poker Face, as the Dream will see if it'll stay alive, but we're not covering any lower bracket today. And Rhodes, the number 1 team coming out of the APAC region, they fell to Seoul Dynasty, and we casted that match. Wasn't that close. So the biggest hopes for the contenders teams lay behind Poker Face and O2 Blast in the separate groups, coming in as the number 1 seeds from Korea. So keep an eye on those matches. I think we're all expecting these to be really close, despite our top dogs of Owl competing today.
Yeah, like you said, Seoul Dynasty yesterday, it wasn't even particularly close. We really thought that Seoul Dynasty were going to have a mega struggle coming into this bracket because they recently have lost Prophet temporarily to illness, and we all wish him a speedy recovery, but the replacement coming just out of contenders at 17 years old, having only become eligible about 2 months ago. This guy's super young. Sonjun looking beautiful on the Tracer and also not demanding many resources, so Void gets to stay alive. Here's a quick look at how the bracket's shaping up, and you can see that Seoul Dynasty defeated Rhodes, but now they have to go up against, some might say, the gatekeeper of APAC, and especially Group A here in the Guangzhou Spark, who have done very well against teams that many people would consider worse, but against better teams like Guangzhou and like Soul Infernal, they've been performing less well.
I feel like Group A is the bracket of death, personally, having Hangzhou, Seoul, and Guangzhou in the same bracket, especially now that Seoul has Sunjun. You said, I am on the hope train, the hopium cope train for Seoul. They looked a million times better. They seem revived, and we'll cover kind of all the exciting narratives behind them in match number 2. That's on the scheduled docket for today. And yeah, there's only 1 spot per bracket to go to knockouts. So if you win the bracket, you go to knockouts, or sorry, to the mid-season madness. This is knockouts, of course, for a $1 million tournament. So the fact that we just have this much competition, 6 Owl teams, 6 contenders teams, and only 2 of them get to go to mid-season madness is just, it's incredible. It's tough. It's stressful, but also sad that I kind of wish there were more spots.
Yeah, we all wish there were more spots for APAC, especially considering that, hey, Lemon, where mid-season madness is taking place at Kintex-Goyang here in South Korea, it's going to be super important to a bunch of these teams to be able to represent their nation, their teams on home turf. The last grand finals that we had in Korea, of course, back in 2020, that was all done remotely. We flew out for San Francisco Shock. There was no live audience there, and we've seen from so many of our little lands here at the WDG studio that we've had between, say, for the Soul Bowl, between Soul Infernal and Seoul Dynasty, the fans love to come out and watch their home teams play. And we'll be able to bring in so many more fans for a big event like Mid-Season Madness. And being the ones who are in front of those roaring esports enjoyers, that means so much to each of these players.
I just can't pick a match that I don't want to see. All of these are going to be good. Number 1 seed of Guangzhou is going to be challenged by the number 1 seed, one of the number 1 seeds of Korea being Poker Face. Seoul have this, fresh new player against Hangzhou who have had these hot and cold performances. You have O2 Blast regarded as probably the big favorite coming out of contenders, the most likely to beat and upset an OWL team going up against Seoul Inferno, who are on this hot streak coming out of the open or the qualifiers. Then you have SPG, hot off their win against the Shanghai Dragons. Do they claim another OWL team? Dallas Fuel just slightly above Shanghai Dragons as SPG climb that ladder. We have so many good matches today. I hope y'all can hang around with us. You won't want to miss it.
Yeah, it's going to be a long day, but I promise that every single second of it will be worth your time. Here's a quick look at our first roster coming in. Our joint first seed coming out of Korea, topping out their group. Here's Poker Face, and you're going to recognize so many of these names if you are a dedicated OWL viewer. Of course, Muse you'll recognize from a previous tenure with the LA Gladiators, and before that, the superstar of a Talon Esports roster that dominated the world at Gauntlet 2019. On the other side, Finale and Valentine, a DPS duo who have very well-known names and pretty wide hero pools as well, Lemon.
Yeah, Finale, Valentine, I love the rotation of their DPS. Arrow's been more of a mainstay as of late. Yesterday was incredible. I believe got our player of the match. And they were rotating Finale and Valentine around Arrow yesterday, who played a lot of Sojourn, Hanzo, stuff like that. But in the open, it was primarily Finale and Valentine who played a lot of hit scan. This team doesn't rely as much on Tracer. It's a lot about Valentine maybe on Reaper, Finale flexing to different things like the Hanzo Sojourn. So this team is all over the place when it comes to composition. So I'm excited to see how Guangzhou Charge are going to challenge this as, these teams don't scrim each other, at least I don't think.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of time in between the scrims. I imagine the Guangzhou Charge probably have their own pretty well-established ecosystem of scrim partners. We do have a couple of fans, of course, in the WDG arena here to watch the match live on the big screen. We'll be watching some of these players coming through from the Guangzhou Charge. And who else can we highlight first but the man himself, the prime fornicator that is Jimmy, Mr. Hitscan, best in the East, some would say. And I wouldn't say that that's a big leap to take. Jimmy has been bloody impressive this year on the hit scan, but I've always been a fan of Choi-Se-Won. Choi-Se-Won has had a history on the Guangzhou Charge since he first came to OWL. He's stuck with this team, and it's often felt like a Sisyphean task for Choi-Se-Won, just continually pushing this boulder up the mountain, only for it to roll back down again upon the weight of previous Guangzhou Charge teams, which were woefully underprepared to support him. However, this roster is rock solid, and thus far looking almost undeniable, with the exception of Seoul Inferno, who managed to sneak away a series from them.
And Choi-Se-Won is looking like the #1 Tracer, if not the #1 flex in APAC. Guangzhou Charge, #1 seed coming out of the qualifiers. This is a tough challenge for Poker Face, and this is the semi-final. So the winner goes to the winner's final, loser to the lower bracket. Our first map is Ilios, chosen by the Guangzhou Charge. The only blemish on Guangzhou Charge is, like you said, that Game 5 loss to Seoul Inferno, which was so fun to cast and watch. And also, they lost the King's Road to Shanghai, which was more of a snowball situation. Once kind of the floodgates open, Charge sometimes have issues holding that back. But behind Jimmy, who's been so consistent, Choi-Se-Won's Echo could be something we can see on Ilios. I really favor the Charge. They look good on this map.
Yeah, Charge certainly, we're going to be watching Choi-Se-Won try and dominate on the Echo. I believe it was against the Hangzhou Spark that they played Ilios, and we saw Hangzhou Spark basically not even load into the map before it was ace after ace from Choi-Se-Won. But remember, like you said, that game against the Seoul Inferno, it opened up a big hole in the defenses of Guangzhou Charge, and that is the Wrecking Ball, because they're not really willing to play the Sombra to try and deal with it. And I'm not expecting Pokerface to try and move over towards that Wrecking Ball, but just our audience need to look out for potential openings where other teams that are more likely to use that hero could try and pull out a Wrecking Ball to really mess with the Guangzhou Charge, who don't want to play the Sombra.
It's an exciting match. Out the gates, dive from Muse, but Piggy knows what's coming. I was expecting a mirror, but Piggy on the Diva is the counter to Winston, hoping to jump in that bubble. And Bully also great counter to the Echo. Valentine is going to mirror that. Of course, no mercies. It's going to be reliant on the Brig packs for these Echoes to remain involved in the picture. Finale versus Jimmy. Not a Tracer match I was expecting, but this is how you follow up with your dive. At first Charge, kind of got their backs against the wall. A lot of real estate taken by the Poker Face team. Ready to jump in is Muse, laying maybe his bubble down at the choke. Not even needing to, as Charge not challenging them quite yet. Jimmy has crept his way to the right side and gets punished. Two people saw Jimmy as Charge didn't even break through the floodgates, so he's down for the count and Poker Face at the cap.
All right, everybody stand back. It's time for like the simple again. This guy, he is the bona fide real deal. When it comes to up-and-coming flex supports, I doubt that there are any prospects quite as tempting as Simple. This guy is a freak on the Ana. Getting the opening pick there onto Jimmy is more than enough to get control here for Poker Face and force Guangzhou Charge. He's just doing it again! Stop it!
And that's how you picked off Jimmy, too, because it wasn't just Finale that won the Tracer duel. It was Simple that got an honest shot in. Dangerous anti on the Xerneas. I don't think Finale feels confident enough to chase that. He still wants to position himself on the left side. Poker Face really commanding the first half of this Ilios well.
Tracer wants not been able to do much as well. Still clawing at 50% ult charge. The rally is going to be active, though. Remember that stun coming in for Finale. Easily able to recall out of the way. Here's the Nano.
Especially when Farway was on the high ground, Nano Xerneas, who somehow peeled for himself, bought enough time for Charge to fall back, because Poker Face are in their backline. Good anti from Farway, hits 2. Muse has the sustain of the Primal. Choice in 1 gets the last laugh, and Charge finally can start off a fight on the right foot. 5v4, now taking up the space. You see Piggy pushing the right side. Valentine with the duplicate, thinks this is winnable, at least wanted to extend a bit more than the 76%. Thought he had cycled that well with Finale, so this dupe is not going to be worth much, and he won't be able to get the self-destruct off in time. Maybe, no, not able to get back in the mech, so Charge have the point for now.
Thought he was cycling well, but Lance Armstrong, he ain't. Muse actually gone fairly deep here and manages to get in onto Farway. I think assisted with a biotic grenade from Simple. You can see the Ana assist over there.
Oh, Piggy! Piggy's
he's
back.
Fine, he's fine, save!
Piggy's dead. Choice in 1 duped, and he's dead. Charge have not been able to hold on to this point. You know, they got that first kill, they saw the dupe, and Charge didn't really get aggressive or push past the point. They seemed unsure on how to approach this Poker Face. Use their ults, managed to get in, pick off Jimmy yet again, who's been taking back-to-back L's to Finale.
Yeah, it seems like both Piggy and Xerneas had a dereliction of duty. They were supposed to try and keep Muse off of Farway. Once that Winston actually lands on the Ana, she's fairly defenseless. Stick goes in. I believe it catches onto the shield of Xerneas, so it's going to disable Shield Bash for a little bit, but no real damage done.
Ults, just Jimmy with the pulse, who's kind of helping bully Muse out of his backline, sees the bubble, knows that Muse won't be a threat for now, yeets it into the Ana, but the sleep from Simple is just too good. You can continue simping. I'll allow it for now. Piggy about to lose the mech. Oh, self-destruct right at the last second, though. Won't be able to get back into mech, and Aiden pops the rally to get the stun, and Charge just can't get any presence at the front. What a dominant showing from Poker Face, 100-32.
Oh, only 3 deaths on the side of Poker Face as well. All final blows coming from Choice Air 1. It's been rough. It's been real rough. And right now, Simple sitting at 2 final blows. Not a huge stat, but still an important one considering that's out of only 9 kills thus far. It's been fairly bloodless as far as control rounds go, Lemon. And I think the Charge are having some real issues with their tempo.
Yeah, Charge, like I said, like the one fight they did win, where they finally got a first blood, they just didn't overextend, they didn't hunt for more kills. Jimmy, you know, Tracer, we know him more for other hit scans, that sniper god, and Tracer, we don't see him having a ton of time on that compared to other heroes, but now he's on the Hanzo, he gives that over to Choice in 1, which is clearly his bread and butter.
All right, Poker Face, though, they're completely changing the game over here, moving over towards a more complete rush. Now the rotations of Farway are going to be all the more scrutinized. Remember that you have to move so quickly in advance as an Ana here, because you're going up against a Lucio.
Muse Muse got anti-sewed in Valentine. Kill confirmed from Choice A1. And look how much more confident the Charge are. They got the point or about to. They're extending outside of it to hunt for kills. This is a composition that Charge feel more comfortable on.
You've heard of a Fled deadlift before, but right now Choice A1 has 100% of his team's final blows. 5 out of 5, all for him. Of course, many of them facilitated, like you said, by that big anti coming through from far away. And that's one of the themes we're really going to have to look into in this particular matchup alone. The Ana versus Ana in Simple versus Farway. Even though Simple's currently playing on the map to get more healing out for this tightly packed comp.
Choice A1 is just behind them, and Pokerface feels stressed to move forward. Choice A1 still harassing, getting the attention of Simple. Muse feeling the pain, not having the healing, and Jimmy hits an important headshot onto Finale, who puts himself in a vulnerable position again due to Choice A1 being behind now with Pulse Bomb, and Valentine just can't enable Muse enough. Just the threat level of Charge at all these angles is simply too much.
A little bit of difficulty with target focus there as well from Pokerface. There's no way that a Winston should be able to comfortably stay in, like, melee range with both a Ramatra and a Mei. Alas, Farway still able to heal through all of that super easily, allowing Xerneas to try and keep these packs on deck if Choice A1 should need them. Finally gets the attention of the Ana to get healed up, so Xerneas doesn't have to expend anything, and Simple's ready to bring out the Amplification Matrix shortly to buy some more space.
Yeah, Choice A1 has the Pulse too. He's going for that. Piggy, Nanoed, and Primal. So much space, including the Dragon Strike. 70% plus for the Charge. Coming down to final fight territory. Choice A1 not able to deliver that Pulse. It's 4-4. The backline frozen up. The Charge won't have any healing thanks to Valentine's Blizzard. But Pokerface had to use a lot of ultimates to get this done. The Soundbear and really more than that. Pokerface still haven't clearly won this fight. They have to deal with Piggy, Choice A1, the remnants of respawns. 94% Charge flipped to Pokerface.
Ooh, Muse went down to 11 HP there as well. That's critical that he actually survives, because that gives over a bunch of healing to Simple to allow generation towards the Kitsune Rush, which is going to be such a good tool to try and bring Muse forward into that backline, but thus far from Guangzhou Charge has been very effectively evading. Even a speed-boosted Ramatra, Farway must be taking some excellent positions, even though we haven't seen a huge amount of his POV, in order to remain untouched by the Nemesis form.
Now, can you pressure Muse before he approaches? That's going to be the job of Jimmy. Will have access to the Mega Pack, but he will lose that top high ground positioning. Piggy making sure that he's comfortable to get set back up. Piggy will heal and jump on in. Muse, Annihilation, looking for a nice group up of the Charge. The bubble from Piggy has been used, and his backline is exposed. Finale, Dragon Strike pierces through Xerneas. And without that player, Charge just don't feel confident to waste their time in this fight.
No assist noted on that Dragon Strike kill, I hasten to add. That was an unforced error from Xerneas, and it's going to take away a bunch of time from Guangzhou Charge, as well as gift over whatever ult charge was found on the disengaging members. Piggy's going to buy this space here, simply to give Jimmy a little bit of staging areas, try and find Finale and work up after that. With this Ice Block being used, though, this could be an opportunity for Piggy to go even deeper.
Yeah, he's got the Nano, makes the call. Aiden will try to speed away. He's a target. And beside him is Valentine and the Annihilation of Muse. Who blocks, goes forward, Kitsune rushes the speed he needs, the Charge. They rally behind Xerneas, who still lives on through. Piggy with the counter dive is also getting kills. This is the fight that matters the most for Pokerface. If they can prevail, they will be taking game 1 against the Charge, who hope to force round 3. Blizzard got the ready from Valentine, who sees the backline in sight, funneled through this corridor, but Valentine wants to force Piggy out of this, who jumps right back into the Blizzard. Aiden's Soundbear could be the nail in the coffin. Pokerface reinvigorated. They punish Piggy off the Blizzard. And Choice A1's Pulse Bomb just at least get some splash damage in. But it'll be up to the DPS of Charge to make this happen while Piggy is respawning. And Choice A1 will deliver when the weight is on his shoulders as Charge are back on the point.
It's a familiar story for Sisyphus here. He's been doing this for years. Guangzhou Charge demand a carry, and Choice A1 will bring it, but now Jimmy's sitting shoulder to shoulder with him, already picking off one, and yes, finding a sightline for more, but unable to deliver the headshots that are needed just yet. Still untouched back here, Lemon, and so approaches are dangerous.
Jimmy has sights too. Looking to just get damage onto Muse, who's just stalling this forever. The point in favor of Charge. And it's Pokerface that are forced to take this fight there. Muse stalling with everything he can, but Valentine and Finale can't seem to get close enough to Jimmy. And the Charge prevail. At least they're up by one member, but Valentine's taking so much pressure, losing this duel to Choice they won, and now even more thanks to the rally of Xerneas. And we go to round 3.
So I observed earlier that Piggy was actually being remarkably free for a Winston, but wasn't taking a huge amount of damage in the front line against a Ramatra. And it turns out that that was because we saw Vermeil actually playing very reserved, very far back, almost next to Aiden and Simple most of the time. And they did that to try and rebuff the Nano Winston that came on through. Just consistently soaking him in that endothermic blaster meant that he was too slow to catch up, especially with a speed-boosted escapee. Just trying to keep Piggy at bay. Unfortunately, that did give plenty of room for Choice A1 to try and work as well. Because remember, one of your primary threats as a Tracer is that Icicle from a May. Because that can hit you with a one-shot and instantly remove you from the game. And you know that Pokerface have the mechanics to make that happen.
Choice A1 is my MVP from that last round. The pressure on the initial backline there to saving the fight when Piggy was down. This is the guy who's been so consistent and looking like one of the best Tracers. He returns to that hero once again, and anchoring the point here is what's important for Tracer players, while the rest of the team want to hold the middle of the map, especially with the dive, although the D.Va can anchor a bit better than the Winston in this case. Muse gets followed up by Piggy, tries to blow him up with the micro missiles. Now trying to mark this Tracer. Piggy does everything he can to just shift his focus where Choice A1, where Jimmy are aiming to. But Pokerface seem a bit more organized, at least at the initial part of this fight. The point is owned by the Charge, who have left it as Pokerface are trying to cycle that in their favor. Aiden has been anti. That will be a kill confirmed for Piggy. Now hunts down this Echo player. Pokerface still haven't gotten the flip that they wanted, summoning the attention of Charge's backline to deny the recontest. And now with Muse removed, Pokerface, they're losing hope on trying to get the point back.
I love how they modulate how much they try and pressure Muse depending on Farway's position. We saw how very precarious Farway's position was on that corner, so a lot of fire went into Muse to make sure he was never comfortable for the dive. Whereas when we saw Farway up on high ground in a far less diveable position because he had a little bit of a roof over his head to cover him, there wasn't so much pressure on Muse, and there was time instead to move over after Valentine and get rid of that Echo threat.
Pokerface threatening the point at least. Halfway capped, but it's probably Finale poking in and out. Valentine up top, trying to go after Jimmy, and Jimmy gets nanoed, shuts down Valentine, and Muse jumped up there, but disengages immediately, not wanting to help out his brother in crime. Now the DPS of the Charge taking pressure from Muse, but Jimmy trying to pop this bubble, so Muse will have to disengage, but now there's no healing left from the Charge, and Jimmy is exposed. Muse will deal with that problem. And Pokerface capping the point shortly, but at 75% plus for the Charge, great start for them. Pokerface have a lot of work to do.
And this is what happens when Muse manages to find Farway in one of those exposed positions and isn't properly pressured. So much resource went into trying to keep Jimmy alive, and yes, he managed to take out Valentine, but it did leave Farway fairly defenseless without Xerneas being able to try and take a one-on-one duel with the Brigitte because Aiden was nanoed themselves. Now the Bob could try and cap, but Farway's been stuck. Call this.
And Finale's not even done yet. He kept committing to that backline. And the fact that usually you drop the pulse bomb, you recall, you blink out, this is Finale going unchecked.
Maybe Choice A1 has had his attention directed elsewhere to try and help out Farway, but it needs to return to the Tracer duel and promptly here. Finale cannot be allowed to run riot through this backline or Pokerface. They will be taking this map away from the Guangzhou Charge. 43% and climbing here as Valentine goes back.
The Bob is thrown on the point, I think. And that'll be what's capping it, or Choice A1 and Piggy are there too. Either way, the Bob presence in the middle of the map is what's forcing Pokerface into cover or onto the point to contest, as Charge still haven't flipped it yet. So really good focus management from both teams to direct their attention towards the objective and also to the fight. The Charge now have to face Muse, who's nanoed, has the primal. Coach gun from Jimmy has been used. Anti onto Farway exposes him as Muse is slept. He will be slowed down. The anti at 150 will force Muse back, not wanting to use the primal in maybe a last fight territory, as the Charge are leading 95 plus with a number advantage.
Charge are excellent multitaskers. Great shield play coming through from those hit scans. Now Aiden's in the corner with no shield, no friends, no life, and no cap. The overtime continues, Lemon, and it's going to be starting to tick down real fast here as no one's around to keep it going.
He said easy. This guy brings such amazing vibes. Big smiles. He typed the easy against, oh, who was it? Another tank. Belosaria. I remember.
Oh, he did the big MTD against Belosaria. That was the first time we saw Piggy play Reinhardt Unleashed on tower.
And I just want to point out that Muse not popping Primal is a massive mistake. That lack of sustain on the front line let Piggy, Choice A1 just run free and destroy Poker Face without Muse's present. And then you saw the Primal prop that popped at the end. It didn't matter at all. Charge clutch up round 3.
Yeah, Muse doing his best Fleder impression and simply deciding, you know what, I don't think we really need a Primal here. But one of the things I think is one of the most defining characteristics of the Guangzhou Charge is that they are excellent multitaskers. They're really good at being able to manage threats in their front line while also pressuring the objective. And that's how Choice A1 managed to sneak that one away and sneak away the map from Poker Face.
Charge take game 1 and a round 3 on Ilios, but after this break, we'll find out where Poker Face want to go to next. Charge are firing on all cylinders, but we went to round 3 where, once Jimmy got off a Tracer, Choice A1 back in the driver's seat, it was all good at the end of the day. PokerFace get to choose our next map.
Yeah, PokerFace get to go to where they feel they have the biggest advantage and where they are the most comfortable. But the thing is, our map pool for Hybrid does very much lend itself to his long-range hit scans, which means you got to deal with Jimmy. And when you got to deal with Jimmy on a hit scan or a Hanzo Lemon, you know who you got to call. And it ain't someone who's going to bust some ghosts. It's the Arrow themselves. Hey, it's an old joke, sir, but it checks out. Yes, it's Arrow, who's actually been becoming more of a mainstay in more recent appearances of PokerFace compared to the Opens, where there was a lot more Finale and Valentine. Arrow plays a lot more long-range heroes. Yesterday we saw a Torbjorn from him as well, but I don't expect to see that on our next map, which is going to be Hollywood. I think that we're likely going to be seeing a Hanzo, but there's also the opportunity for Arrow to bring out the Sojourn, which is some people's pocket pick.
Yeah, Arrow looked, I think was the player of the match yesterday, but it was a huge part of their success. And rightfully, the Sojourn on Oasis, the Hanzo on Blizzard World, he was getting first bloods left and right. Jimmy is going to have a true challenge, but you're going up against a rookie. Jimmy should be confident. He's made Owl hit scans sweat. So we'll see if Jimmy will continue to, whatever you said in the pre-show. I don't even want to repeat it. But Hollywood. Guangzhou Charge, last time they went to Hollywood, they won this against the Dallas Duel with a 3-minute cap running the Winston Tracer Hanzo dive. So we'll see if Charge, if this is a strong map for them as well.
Yeah, I think Charge have no upsetties in their camp being taken over to Hollywood. PokerFace, they need to be really confident here to bring Guangzhou Charge to an area where Jimmy can truly start his romantic conquest of the world. The question is, for Piggy, do we see more of a classic diva, or is it more likely to mirror the Muse Winston? Because previously we've seen an impressive amount of Piggy Winston. People thought, he's kind of an off-tank specialist. Obviously, he was a duo with Junggu, I believe, on the Houston Outlaws back in 2020, and mostly played the off-tanks, be it the Sigma, the Zarya, or the Diva, but has integrated very effectively a Winston into his hero pool, and I think is actually one of the better Winstons that we have in APAC at the moment. So I'm not surprised right now to see a hover that would imply we're going to have a full-on Winston duel between Muse and Piggy.
Yeah, when it came to Ilios, I felt like Piggy ran the Diva to just counter Muse, and obviously is getting in his head, writing the GG easy before the round was even over. Muse realizing, the mistake he did. You kind of saw in the cams, he looks bothered. Either bothered or focused, and maybe a mix of two. And PokerFace, this is their map choice, running the Hanzo Tracer mirror against the Charge. PokerFace trying to get to at least this high ground initially. Pressuring Jimmy is the name of the game, who had the most amount of deaths on Ilios Lighthouse, trying to stay on these high grounds to get shots, whether on the Ash or the Hanzo. And Farway is the first victim of all things, who should be the most protected player on the team. And that's a big opening for PokerFace.
You saw the Ana assist as well. Once more, got to call out my boy Simple. Excellent anti-nade, but must have gone in or asleep to try and ensure that Muse was able to grab that kill. Jimmy challenging Muse, and he is about one quick melee away from death, but now Jimmy has to go up against the crowd, and the crowd is simply too much.
I like the disengage from Charge. I guess they thought they could maybe recontest the third tick, and with Jimmy being in the back mega corner and dying, that nullified Charge's chances of recontesting the third tick. But hey, if you only drop 2 people, that's less ult charge for PokerFace to kind of snowball this map, who have now established themselves on the high ground. They've got the whole gang up there. Piggy is feeling the heat. He jumps back. Now we got this tower defense going on.
Oh, that's a fat nade as well. Xerneas and Piggy. However, Muse going to be shut down with the sleep, and Jimmy gets an easy headshot there, so holding this space is going to be incredibly difficult. That's why we see Piggy moving on forward with the aid of Xerneas. And now Choice A1 can start to work the margins a little bit. This is where Finale's truly in the danger zone, because Choice A1's going to be able to get the drop on him in most cases.
It's important for Choice A1 and Finale to be cycling on the car to get as much progress or deny as much progress as possible. And even Piggy is quick to jump down to stop Finale from getting any further. Muse helping push the defense back. The Charge will give up some progress, and even Finale gets the hunt down on Choice A1. So 5-4, PokerFace will take some high ground. They slept Piggy, hoping to get some focus. not enough. Piggy had the time to pop Primal to at least get himself another life. Although he's just trying to cause a bit of chaos before returning to his team. Gets Muse so low, but traps the rest of Pokerface's backline in an area. Muse jumps back in with the Nano, has the Primal still available. Rally and everything being invested from Pokerface. With Arrow being stomped on, Pokerface are gonna lose a lot of damage.
Oh, Muse not getting great value out of this Nano, out of this Primal, though. Should have been able to take Farway off that high ground a lot sooner than he has. That wastes time and keeps Piggy in the backline for a moment longer and allows for the heal up to come on through, while Jimmy can distract the wayward main tank. Simple's now been taken out by Xerneas. How did they get that close?
Oh, the splash off the wall? At least I didn't see the stick. I gotta clean my glasses, but I'm pretty sure that splash on the wall and Aiden had the shield up. Didn't realize what was coming. As the Charge hold the defense for now.
It's one of those things that you really got to see the replay for. My own theory is that I think Aiden actually stuck himself by rotating it off a shield and it just dropped onto his body. But it might have dropped onto the wall and then just splashed onto him. You get such weird angles from those bomb explosions that it can be incredibly difficult to try and avoid them. Arrow, now with a Dragon Strike. You can use this to try and clear the high ground. We've seen how many resources have gone into that previously. Be it the Nano or the Primal Rage. And that's a big engage onto Simple.
2 anti on Simple and Arrow 2. Disengage into that little corridor. Dragon Strike just to scare Charge a bit from the high ground. Pokerface established up there, but sort of cycling in and out. Their supports were taking some heat, so Pokerface need to be careful. Now they're split up from each other thanks to the Primal of Piggy, who split up the supports left and right. Arrow is in a lot of trouble. Pokerface needs to group back up, and it'll be Muse to try and fire back, but he gets slept. He's woken back up though, and Pokerface, despite being so disassembled, they reunite and stomp on the Charge.
Yeah, I think Pokerface, they looked at the disassembly of Guangzhou Charge, or rather they took advantage of their own disassembled positioning and took advantage of Guangzhou Charge playing a little bit egotistically in terms of their own positioning, with Farway and Xerneas being far too close. Choice A1's going to get a last-second contest here, but no frags to come through from a Dragon Strike.
Choice A1 is just in the middle of 5 people and still gets the kill onto Simple, 9% away from the Aiden rally. A desperate and very important support ultimate for Pokerface. They're still gonna pop it. They think it's winnable without Simple, and so it is when Muse is looking this good, this reinvigorated after the GG easy of Ilios. You love to see it. Pokerface back in a confident position.
Nobody easies the beast of Talon Esports. Guangzhou Charge. They're facing a fairly hefty time bank here on point C. 3 minutes for Pokerface to try and negotiate their way through this area, and Guangzhou Charge actually put both the Nano Boost and the Pulsum into their previous fight and didn't really get anything off the back of them. That was onto Piggy, who couldn't really find a target in the midst of all of that mess.
Xerneas almost got the stun on the Muse before he jumped out, maybe forcing an early Primal. And somehow Aiden and Simple are taking pressure when they're just playing so far away from the defense. That's just the power that Jimmy has at long range and why he should be feared on the Hanzo. And it's gonna be up to Arrow to prove that he's worthy to be this rookie that Pokerface can depend on, as Pokerface still are getting progress and are halfway to C.
I like giving up space here for Guangzhou Charge to try and force Pokerface into playing this long sightline, but Muse is doing an excellent job of controlling their positioning from the high ground and making sure that none of these forward positions with the cover behind the boxes are free, and Anadol is ensued, and Farway walks away with a dub.
Simple keeps being first death, and I just can't believe this is happening. It's just a range DPS. As soon as Simple exposes himself at all, he's taking damage, and Pokerface keep having to reset this momentum, but that's an opening as Jimmy gets pulsed by Finale. The call is made. Pokerface jumping in, or at least have to react to Piggy pulling the trigger first. Muse is waiting to get healed back up before he can re-engage, but there's a threat in the back line. It's Piggy with Primal tossing everybody up, and now almost getting a kill onto Finale. Piggy will disengage just to anchor this card. He's nanoed. He's going back in for more. First, seconds, and thirds as Aiden and Simple cower into the corner to try and reconnect with Muse, who pops the Primal at the last second, and Pokerface will have to do this without Arrow.
That was incredibly close. A headshot wakes up Muse. The anti even better. Muse has bungled his disengage, but still will remove himself from danger with only a little bit of health remaining. Simple keeps him up and are re-engaged with the Nano to reinvigorate it.
Oh, Jimmy is climbing up to the stars and somehow is still living. He's got the peel of Xerneas' rally and Piggy too. How long can Jimmy truly live? Everyone from Poker Face is trying to kill him. But the backline trade is just way more powerful for Choice A1. Gets Arrow and Simple. Choice A1 is just simply better. The Charge have respawn advantage to 3 kills this fight for Choice A1. As the Charge have 34 seconds left to defend.
Now, Piggy's being such a good dive partner as well. You saw an awesome little bit of body blocking onto Simple to make sure that he couldn't space himself away from a Tracer and had to stay within the effective range of those pulse bombs or pulse pistols. Pulse bombs are on the field here for Choice A1 and Finale. Obviously, you want to stick them onto those Brigitas ideally. But Farway, if you can get rid of that nano, that would be a gold mine.
Jimmy is so wiggly though. And so is Piggy, who jumps away from the Finale pulse. Jimmy is on the high ground. I think the Sonic does reveal him, and Aiden and Arrow are respecting that. Piggy taking up a lot of space with the help of Farway's nano. Choice A1's pulse bomb doesn't get the kill they need, and Muse is taking so much pressure. He can't stay on the cart. It's an overtime situation for Poker Face, and they're down by 2. The absolute collapse at the finish line means Poker Face will not be full capping the map. And that gives a win condition for the Charge to get all the way to C to go to match point.
Big win condition for the Charge here. I was surprised at how quickly they folded on point A, Lemon. Like you pointed out at the time, it was a big disengage, but Farway being picked first with something as simple as a nade and a Winston dive, that shouldn't be happening when we should have things like a Brigitte shield in the way. A whip shot to try and mess with that disengage. Just a quick look at how Muse has been playing, or has been slept indeed. In the midst of that point B, this was truly where the time back was drained.
Yeah, that was just how Poker Face were just so disassembled due to the primal rage of Piggy, and as they were just split on both sides of the building, the comms is what kind of focused them towards reacting to the antis, and Muse taking charge after it felt like he was a bit boomed, maybe made a mistake or two on Ilios, and Poker Face came back.
Now we head over to the attacking side, and Poker Face have shifted up their strategy entirely. We talked about Arrow and the Sojourn Lemon, and we didn't know if we were going to see Muse's Ramatra on a map that's as high ground centric and dive friendly as Hollywood. But point A, certainly you can try and limit your opponent's options by holding maybe a little bit closer on the first corner. Remember that there's the interaction between Ramatra and Winston, which is super important, and that's the Ravenous Vortex. It drags you down to the ground, and if Winston tries to leap away while ensnared in that vortex, he will be going nowhere, and that can allow for maybe a little bit less measured aggression than a Winston would otherwise like.
We have just rarely seen the Muse Ramatra, except on maybe a Shambali or an Oasis when it came to the opens. So this is an interesting look from Poker Face. They will have very little high ground presence besides Arrow, who obviously wants to save the jump to disengage. But if they can hold this initial choke, that seems to be the win con. But Muse is playing so far away from the choke that obviously Charge just break through. They have high ground control. They don't have Choice A1 thanks to a nice shot by Arrow. But Poker Face just can't let Charge decide when the fight begins. Charge will collapse on someone like Simple or Arrow, who are going to be the prime targets of the Charge. We're still getting healed back up and seeing what Charge, or really Jimmy, can get in terms of picks.
He seems to be prioritizing his Ravenous Vortex a lot towards this Hanzo, and Piggy's already had his shield stripped down to nothing. Farway's had to move in front of that shield, and let's put some in Arrow's POV.
Simple, peeling well. Arrow always able to fall back towards his Baptiste, having that immortality, which was actually given to Muse to survive on the point, but with Simple and Aiden getting pressured back, it's not going to work out. If they're going to use a Lucio, they need to use the speed and act aggressive, because at this point, with how Fortressy Poker Face are playing, they might as well just play a Brig or Ana, literally anything but a Lucio. They haven't taken advantage of the speed at all. Muse now to the Winston. They want to match that dive. Muse, honestly, Diva would be a better counter, but Muse is way more comfortable on the Winston and the mirror in general. Charge will be able to fully cap this, I think, but due to Simple just fragging out, Poker Face has somehow stabilized.
That was truly a choice that Piggy made right there. And Simple was more than happy to farm him through the window. And you're exactly right. When you've got this Lucio, especially with a Ramatra, you really needed to play more aggressively. They allowed Guangzhou Charge to generate these angles around a Ramattra so the block wasn't as effective. What a boot to nullify the nano.
Ooh, Piggy just slamming into Aiden, going after the rest, and even if there is an immortality, you're probably gonna get shoved out of it. Arrow's already used jump. Piggy realizes this, has now claimed 2. This backline's in trouble, and the point is capped. Charge are just simply looking so good on the execution of their dives. Piggy missing, though. They will be kind of slowing things down, maybe climbing up to the high ground. Finale will be pushed back. Once he uses Blizzard, expect this May to swap.
You can call this one Poker Face Coat, but it's still a fantastic trade of resources for Ada managed to get that boop onto Piggy, forcing out the Primal Rage before moving over to point B, because the Primal Rage is so important for taking these players off of high ground with the consistent knockback that it offers. And now Moose is going to have that advantage.
Yeah. The damage at range is too good for Poker Face. Arrow, someone you can rely on for that. He was such a menace on Oasis yesterday on this hero. It's either the Hanzo or the Sojourn, but how is Finale going to find Blizzard value when there's just so much mobility from the Charge, and you're never going to be in range of someone like an Ono or a Brig? Probably a Hanzo, as Piggy's still typing in chat.
He's got some questions for the boys and girls. I figure to get value out of the Blizzard here, you need to use a speed boost and just get it right on top of Farway. Just get on top of that Anna and instantly remove her from the fight. Get rid of all that healing and leave Piggy out to dry, maybe.
He's got access to some players with this Blizzard. I could see him dropping it. He does. The Maywall behind the Brig as Xerneas bashes away. No one frozen from this Blizzard despite such good positioning from Finale. But Arrow overclocks. Muse from the front. Arrow in the back. Slept and punished. Almost got away. Muse cleans it up though. Finale is still not swapping off the May. Probably needs to die or go back to spawn, but Poker Face will be giving up some progress.
Oh, that wall was absolutely cyberbully worthy, allowing Muse to deliver the full weight of the Goomba Stomp onto a little British pancake. And that is actually an upgrade for most British cuisine. Muse still the Primal Rage to play with here. And Aiden's still holding on to the sound barrier. What's it going to be used for? Most likely just to rebuff like a nano dive from a Piggy, because there's no real consistent damage that's going to be coming out otherwise. It can reliably be countered.
Yeah, tempo engage would be great for Poker Face. Just now that they have this high ground, looking for antis with Simple. It's such an easy neutral fight win condition, but you let Charge decide the fight. They nano Piggy, force Simple back, and he's got to nano somebody if he's in range of it. Muse, and Muse is primaling. We're looking at Piggy right now, just hanging out, trying to go back to the high ground. Poker Face haven't done much, and Finale is ice blocked out of the fight. Arrow and Muse are barely holding on to the high ground, and Charge of 90 seconds, and we haven't seen much progress.
I talked about using the sound barriers to try and get rid of the nano engage from Piggy, but instead Aiden simply boops it away. We need to see more groundwork here from Choice Here to force up those cooldowns before Piggy actually gets up onto that high ground. Because otherwise he's going to be easily just sent away by Aiden again and again, and Farway and Xerneas are consistently eating so much pressure from a May.
Okay, there's the sound barrier tempo engage from Poker Face, and the kills follow through. And if I'm the Charge, I'm probably putting Choice in one more, positioning him more on the cart, because who's really going to contest him? It feels like Poker Face are playing so clumped up, and yes, they're good at cycling up and down in terms of high ground and low ground, but this is the chance for Charge to take advantage of the fact that Poker Face still don't have a Tracer.
I need to see Jamie start hitting some heads here. He needs to open up these areas. If you can't, you're not getting any value out of the Hanzo. Thus far, it's been... Oh, he's just been absolutely dominated. He's been brutalized. He's been eviscerated.
May is just the Zoomer Hanzo now, I guess. I've been waiting for this guy to swap like 2 Blizzards ago, but he's got another one. I guess hasn't died since then. And again, now that Simple's on this high ground, can go for antis. A big win condition that Poker Face, won the last fight with. They can do it again. The Blizzard right at the feet of the Charge. No one frozen. Piggy slept an anti though, and Xerneas is the one who got nanoed. They thought their backline that needed the most amount of help, but it was Piggy all along. Despite that, the DPS of the Charge deliver the kills, and Poker Face speed all the way back.
But disengage, giving away the space. Jimmy now once again has a chance to have a redemptive fight here, but the same could be said for Choice here. One with a pulse bomb in his back pocket, ready to deliver onto someone super vulnerable. Good healing there, and Jimmy gets one.
Farway's the third DPS on this team. The Charge just stopped the recontest of Pokerface. I like the speed call of Aiden to bring everyone back, to try and go for a last-second defense, but Charge realized that and stuffed through the chokes, and Piggy is still trying to get into the heads of Pokerface.
Somehow Jimmy has returned. How did this happen? 2 final blows in that last fight, 2 of them headshots, of course.
Finale
from
on
the
Tracer
Hunter.
too. Thank God.
Oh, yes. This is a big change. This is going to mean that Choice at One's going to have a lot more to try and constrain him now, and you need that now that you don't have the high ground control that you would previously rely on to try and waylay Choice at One and minimize his uptime on your backline.
Finale can have, this is a better hero in general, so can try and contest Choice at One on the card a bit more when these Winstons jump out of the fight. Pokerface have the ult advantage. Simple as to make the call, giving this to Muse, but also you can just play inside of point C as Muse pops the Primal Rage at the last second, summoning the attention of Xerneas' rally, who stuns up Muse, who's gonna go back for more. 25 seconds for the Charge and a box of victory in sight. We could see Pokerface evening up the series if they play their response intelligently, and it's working out for Finale. Choice One's backed into a corner. Piggy's trying to buy time, and Farway has a nano with his name on it. If he doesn't give it to Xerneas, his favorite support player of all time. Pokerface, though, they have the respawn advantage, and they're just waiting for Charge to pull the trigger, who expose themselves in a big area. Finale somehow all the way in the back, and no! Finishes off Farway! No nano! Xerneas, it's up to you, but he's so tunneled on Finale because he knows he has Pulse Bomb. This is Charge's last chance. Down here from Aiden gets 0 people, by the way. Not sure what happened. Pokerface will still have to hang on, and you can depend on arrows, overclock, or Choice at One who's nanoed. He's saved fights before on Ilios, and he'll do it again. Jimmy with 2, no backline, and nobody left for Pokerface as Charge will push through to the box of victory and go to match point.
Biggie, he do be chatting, but honestly, Pokerface, what happened? An early pick, a beautiful shot from Arrow, gets rid of the Ana, removes the nano from the equation, and Xerneas, as we saw, was being absolutely demolished. Muse looks stricken, and honestly, I am too. There was no healing for Choice One, Jimmy and Piggy. No Primal Rage, no way to really survive, and it was fumbled, a bag. Completely through to the ground. They threw it on the ground, Lemon. And they threw the map away.
Barrier? Where? Okay, how about throwing that Aiden sound barrier? I need a replay. Yeah, or I need my eyes checked because that should have won Pokerface the fight. It should have won them the map. But Charge, the #1 seed out of Owl, have been pushed to the brink. The fact that Pokerface almost took this game is wild. We'll have another choice of map, and we'll find out what that is after the break. was May. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Match point for the Charge. And I gotta say, my bad, Aiden. You did hit a big sound barrier, but what was crazy is that your team took so much damage that it just evaporated. But after they killed Faraway, Pokerface had a 5v4 and a sound barrier advantage. It still wasn't enough to win that overtime fight. That is just wild how Charge, and especially Choice A1, clutches with the Nano.
Absolutely. Apologies to Aiden. We weren't familiar with your game. Unfortunately, your team just absolutely fell apart afterwards for unknown reasons. But hey, sometimes you just can't kill 3 people with no healing. It happens. They were playing the high ground incredibly well. One of the things that Guangzhou Charge definitely did do supremely well in that final fight was rotate their touches of like, Piggy, rescue the backdrop! Somebody save this man. He needs an assist right now. Somebody bring...
Protects his backline and his backdrop.
Exactly.
He's got your back.
Peel for all of them. Choice A1 right now, our MVP currently doing his best John Cena impression, and I must say, excellent cosplay.
Simple versus Faraway, the Anas that made a huge difference. Faraway nanoing Choice A1. Although, you know, all of the spotlight is on Choice A1, it's Faraway making that call. Especially when he was the first one to drop to like a random, I think, arrow sojourn shot. Faraway came back from respawn, nano Choice A1, and that's how they were able to win at the end of the day. But the Battle of Anas, especially with these anti-grenade kills, that's what really kind of stole the show for me on Hollywood.
Yeah, these Annas are absolutely brutal, and I think that the elimination difference here is what really draws my eye. Faraway taking part in so many of those. You pointed out at the end of point B on Guangzhou's attack, Lemon, how Faraway was essentially acting as the 3rd DPS from his high ground perch.
Yeah.
And I think that was entirely correct. Just being able to add in that little bit of extra damage, I think it's 75 per Anna shot when you're a hit scan who can throw out that much fairly easily without having to really change your overall tact. Can do so much to try and turn a DPS duel in the favor of your own damage players.
Hollywood, the fact that it went into OT and Pokerface, I thought they were going to win that fight. When you have 5v4, beat advantage, you killed an Ana. That's just Pokerface not able to win the Tracer duel. Despite having Finale stay on May way longer than I was expecting, you got 2 Blizzards out on point B before going to the Tracer, and it was close, but Choice A1 was not put in his baby cage. And that's when you let out the animal, he just went loose and went wild and saved the Charge. Just like he did on Ilios, and just like he'll continue doing if Choice A1 isn't checked.
Yeah, Choice A1's letting out a different kind of animal right now. I think it's on a bio break. He's back, baby! The animal has been unleashed, and the beast has returned here. As we head over to Escort, our map is going to be Shambali Monastery. So I'm afraid to say that we're probably going to be seeing even more Ramatra here from Muse, and possibly going to be trying to drag Piggy into that kind of rule. This is a map where a lot of teams love to play that Ramatra. We've seen several different looks here. Some teams like the May, some teams like the Symmetra, some teams like the Hanzo, but generally they all focus around that central Ramatra. And you can see that Muse right now is certainly feeling. He's certainly feeling something.
I know, his focused or boomed like I thought before Hollywood. Maybe he's just got a stern face. He's just ready to come back in the series. That's a face of a reverse sweep.
Is that an entire carton of like pomegranate juice?
I thought that was chocolate milk, but my eyes have deceived me many times.
He's got their chalky milk.
He's got chalky milk. He's a growing boy after all.
You'll never get to Nemesis form size if you don't drink all your chalky milk, boys and girls. Shambali Monastery up on your screens incredibly shortly. We're expecting to see many punches coming out from between 2 Ramatras. But hey, if you want to try a little bit of Winston shenanigans, who am I to stop you? What's really rolling around in my mind at the moment is the question of what Choice A1 is going to play. I think that he's got a May in his pool, but it's not unforeseeable that maybe an Echo could exist here. We know that Choice A1 has that as a pocket pick that he likes to bring out fairly often, so I wouldn't be surprised if he thinks, hey, maybe I can try and do some additional damage to a Ramatra, really keep him on the back foot with something like the Focusing Beam.
Shambali is Pokerface's choice, and they brought a Finale in for the May, expecting him to pop off again. And I was wondering, before this match if Poker Face were going to have any nerves. You know, Muse is sort of showing an emotion that I can't read right now, but considering that so many of the players of Poker Face are former Owl players, going up against current Owl players shouldn't put any nerves into you, besides the fact that now you're staring down the barrel of an 0-2 situation. That's what should make you stressed.
That is very stressful, especially when it could have easily been the other way around. Like, Poker Face, unfortunately, thus far, I would describe as like an anti-clutch team in this particular matchup. They could have won Ilios incredibly easily, even on like the second map. And Hollywood was like 3 kills away from being theirs. Poker Face now, not going to be opting in something like the Sim. Instead, this Sojourn coming out. So many S characters on damage. It always rattle around in my mind, but Guangzhou Charge playing the dive is far more interesting to me. It's just to buy space and time for Jimmy, so Jimmy needs to deliver.
Poker Face pushing through that left side, not even keeping Arrow down main so you don't take unnecessary headshots from Jimmy. That's a 2-man ante from Farway with love as Poker Face bring out the immortality and maybe even drop some players down to the low ground. But with Aiden on the Lucio again, Poker Face have the speed advantage and you gotta hope they utilize it again. But with the antes from Farway, it feels like Poker Face are constantly slowed down, but it's someone, or really Arrow, just hitting these shots that's helping Poker Face thrive despite being pushed back.
Piggy simply has to trade his life for a little bit of time on the cart. A well-placed ammo field as well there. Saves Valentine from the transgressions of Choice A1. And now Guangzhou Charge, they're going to have to engage into Poker Face rather than Poker Face having to engage into the territory that's owned and controlled by the Winston. Because, hey, Poker Face have control of the cart. And if you can just leave your Ramatra on there, then sometimes you're going to be in a good shape. Xerneas has swapped over now to the Zenyatta of all things, just to try and get potentially more pressure in onto this Ramatra. Nasty.
Hello, peekaboo. Gotta watch out for Jimmy again. Headshot. Removing Arrow. Matrix advantage though for Poker Face, but they don't even have the space. It's kind of really deep around the corner, and Poker Face a little bit scared to emerge. Muse shielded really deep just to block the LOS of you thought it was Jimmy or Choice. You want somebody back there, but Muse is trying to bully Piggy, who brings out the Primal. 2 or 3-man advantage from the Charge, and Poker Face don't have supports, so they don't have a chance to fight.
Piggy does well controlling the Nemesis form of Muse with the Primal Rage there, but this does mean that it's one less tool that's going to be available to stop that annihilation, which is really going to be the problem here for Guangzhou Charge. Maybe you can try and turn it around by putting an animal to Choice A1. It extracted huge value on Hollywood, and Choice A1 can consistently get value onto that Nemesis form by coming in from behind. Remember that the block is monodirectional. You have to be facing.
The Dragon Strike from Jimmy maybe tried to force Poker Face out of this room, maybe get a random kill. Could have even gotten the ice block out of Valentine, who are still trying to get out of this room, but Valentine is the only one who remains, and then obviously ate a bunch of orbs from the Zen of Xerneas as Charge take angles around Poker Face and almost dwindle them down so that they are too scared to use the speed engage, but they'll have to go in without Valentine.
And this is where the dive is at its most effective. When Guangzhou Charge have time to set up these angles so Choice A1 doesn't have to expend blinks to get in behind Poker Face and start creating that real craziness. Jimmy gets caught though.
Poker Face have 4 ults. They throw the Blizzard down from inside the room behind Charge. The Xerneas Transcendence is what is saving Farway, but the burst damage is too much. A great kill confirmed, and the backline in trouble for the Charge, so Poker Face should be locking in point A.
Choice A1 too far away to even continue the contesting of the cart. Now, it was a big investment onto the singular support, but Arrow realized that if they could time the headshot of their railgun in time with one of the pummels coming through from Muse, that they could instantly delete Farway's health bar, and even with 300 HPS, it would not be restored before death claimed the young Anna. Now Choice A1. The lone ultimate, the lone survivor, has a pulse bomb ready to go. It can be answered by both Aiden and Simple, but of course far more reliably dealt with the immortality field as Farway plays an off angle.
Ooh, and Farway with Choice A1 work in tandem to put pressure onto Aiden, try to find antis into the backline. Simple isn't getting helped either, and Choice A1 continues to be unchecked, and that's kind of the weakness of Poker Face of not maybe having a super comfortable Tracer player. At least Finale is the guy, but he's currently not playing. Poker Face Face are full committed to this rush composition, but getting outsped by a Tracer.
Yeah, the thing about the Tracer is that you don't consider it enough of a threat usually to use your Immortality Field or use your Amp. Now Piggy's isolated, but it's going to be a bunch of ults to keep him alive.
Piggy is still involved with the Nano, able to primal back, and the Sound Bear engage as Poker Face need to collapse on a singular target, and Piggy is the only person who's low. Jimmy takes some hits, he'll be disengaging to the back, and Poker Face just can't seem to go towards that area of cover. Jimmy finds himself in the back again. Aiden being more aggressive as the Lucio, almost getting punished in that case, but he's got the backup of Arrow, who slides out of the DMs of Choice A1 after that pulse bomb. But Poker Face don't have a tank, but if Arrow can deliver these kills on the overclock, this is still winnable for Poker Face.
Cleaving properties put to good use. Farway unable to connect the sleep, and so is simply put into deep freeze by Valentine. A boop away forces Piggy forward into an unconventional position, and Poker Face have got themselves a fairly healthy time back here for Shambali. Point C. Feels like point C is something we even rarely see on Shambali itself, especially with 2 minutes 20 on the clock in Guangzhou Charge. Their unwillingness to match the brawl here has meant that they've been caught out more times than not. Jimmy's been in fairly weak positions. Jimmy's only got one final blow so far. It's been an ignominious round for the Hanzo.
Poker Face are taking just so much poke. If it's not eliminations Jimmy brings, it's, well, how about a final blow instead? Arrow gone for now. Poker Face hesitating on wanting to commit to this fight without their carry, and maybe wanting to bait Charge into overextending into a blizzard, but Charge won't fall for it.
Yeah, Charge know where their defense can be held at its best. Sigma here can just put out so much spam once Poker Face to after. Oh, that was an attempt to eat the blizzard.
And Charge can't save Piggy with the Transcendence. They'll save the rest of the team and hope that they don't get staggered. They'll have respawn advantage in the last part of C. And Poker Face needs to take advantage of keeping Choice A1 in check. Going after Farway. You got the Annihilation. Muse still trying to heal back up and maybe protect Valentine. The Immortality has been used from Simple. They have the ults. Charge's respawns are up. But you're losing people. Poker Face can't be playing scared, especially against Jimmy, who's claimed multiple people in this point C. He heard you talking smack leg day, and he's popping off now.
Well, you know what? I've got someone here to talk smack about. Choice A1, stop fermenting this pulse bomb, please. I don't need to present ID to watch it get attached. It's been there for so long. And Choice A1 yet to have any pulse bomb kills or attachments, of course. Got to give credit to Valentine, an excellent wall to try and block Piggy off from the healing that was coming through from a Transcendence at the last fight.
Alright, Poker Face just not really going past the cart, but rocking Jimmy to death. Ravidic Flux from Piggy will get Muse low. Sound Bear doesn't actually hit Muse for some reason. Immortality and the healing itself. Poker Face go through. They won't have Valentine. And the pulse and the focus fire of Charge just seems to be too much. Arrow's gonna pop overclock. He knows he doesn't have time to reset. Hits the shot that mattered the most on Farway. But Jimmy and Choice A1 are back to clutch for the Charge, just like they did on Hollywood. As Poker Face will return on a Doomfist and a Sombra, the emergency comp to pull through.
It was 2 versus 2 for a while, but no one wants to take the initiative. Simply free push and free kills for Jimmy. Right?
Yeah, Poker Face can't touch Jimmy. That's a 3K, who's just, Jimmy himself has come alive on point C. As soon as he's given the range to operate, Jimmy doesn't miss.
Yeah, I talked about coming into point C, Jimmy only having a single final blow. Now he is on 8 final blows out of 8 elims. Finally, those headshots are coming on through. Jimmy has the space to operate like you talked about, and it forces Poker Face to play down these narrow corridors and straight into those sightlines. And also, Piggy swapping over from the Winston onto the Sigma created more of a focal point that Guangzhou Charge had to move around. A real stalwart bastion that stood in their way, and that created a longer fight within which Piggy had more opportunities to hit the headshots compared to a Winston who was a little bit more hit and run, and continuously meant that after he disengaged, Jimmy could be sped upon because he can't disengage very effectively from a Ramatra in Nemesis form who has extra speed, and then Lucio speed on top of that as well.
Poker Face just still don't look as confident on this composition. I'm not seeing them really chase down any kills. They seem almost playing that reactive style, which I don't love, just because it feels like Charge are winning the majority of fights. At least Poker Face, once they do get ults, they are winning. And they did get so far into C, so this is still winnable. But you have to have a defense that holds Charge at bay. They will be sneaking through to get a spawn hold, and we'll see what happens.
An attempt to slow it down, or at least erode the time bank of Guangzhou Charge here on their attack. Pokerface do not wish their winners bracket run to be ended in such an embarrassing fashion with a 3-0, even against the number 1 seed that is the Guangzhou Charge. Arrow yet to hit the rail, unfortunately.
Right, Pokerface giving up already way too much space to the Charge, who have broken through, gotten to the right building. Charge can take angles around, but Muse and Pokerface collapse onto a few targets. The focus fire there. Charge, while split apart, didn't converge back together, so they'll have to converge back to spawn. Choice of One did kill Arrow, and with the respawn advantage being so strong for the Charge, this is a moment for them to take advantage.
Farway's location noted. The question is, does Muse want to try and commit to it? You risk being slept here or even taken apart by the arrows from Jimmy. There's Choice of One coming in from the other side who can negotiate around that block.
All right, Charge, get out of spawn. Only a minute sacrifice in that case, but more gained in terms of ult Charge. So close to the Nano, and that could be a momentum push for the Charge.
Yeah, the Nano thus far onto Piggy has been waylaid quite a few times by Aiden's boots, but without Pokerface having a good high ground to really play from here, unless they all want to stack up in that window, Piggy is much more likely to extract value from this particular Nano.
Jimmy looking for that pig. He's been kind of a sneaky beaver when it comes to that room to just creep up through these windows. But Choice A1, assassination, following up with Jimmy's Nano, or Piggy's Nano, I should say. Charge starts to fight up by 1 and putting immense pressure on these DPS who have fallen back to secondary positions, giving Charge a bit of progress, but still needing a clean fight before capturing it.
Piggy's Nano split Pokerface so well there. They're going to try and maybe fight this with the window, but Piggy's just going to take all that space away for free, and with the Primal now too.
Yeah, it's just taking the space. I've just nullified the use of this Amp Matrix from Simple. Sound Barrier from Aiden has to be committed. It only hits 3, but it's enough to overwhelm the Charge and force them out of the fight. Minute 45 left too, and because the Charge invested the Nano into Piggy, the Nano Blade, if that is something they want to invest into, will be a ways away.
Great job, Valentine, to basically hold down the cart solo for a little while we saw Piggy being on a bit of an adventure in the background. I believe just ran onto... Oh, no. Jimmy, you don't get to slide that one in the back door, my friend, I'm afraid.
God.
Piggy's swapped over now onto a Sigma. No more Winston. Instead, going to try and mitigate a little bit more of the poke coming through from Arrow. While the shield is going to be more effective against the overclock, he is going to be doing a little bit less in terms of actually stopping that Sojo and just running on paths with the slide and getting into that easily destroyed backline.
Okay, the Charge, because they're kind of just taking this fight slow, building up that Nano, taking damage. For that, the Nano Blade is available. Jimmy creeps up into the left room, can look for shots in itself. Transcendence used. Choice A1 might not even need to use the Blade because Muse overextended into the Transcendence and got antied. So Pokerface don't even have a tank, and Valentine was, you know, a brother in arms just feeding with him, and Pokerface just fold in this fight, and the Charge will cap A.
You'll feed. Yes, I will. We'll do that together, too. That was great timing as well from Guangzhou Charge to wake up Muse from asleep, with both the anti being sort of like the activator, and then the accretion coming in immediately afterwards. Remember, that's got a longer stun now of a second, even though it's slightly mitigated against tanks, meaning there was more time to try and follow that one up as Choice One's ready to blade.
Oh, I did want to go after Aiden and just looked in 3 different directions. Got a bit cross-eyed. Eventually went after Simple, realizing the immortality was out. And there's a bunch of still low targets from Pokerface, but Charge, no. They don't want to make a mistake and overextend and feed. So Charge are still halfway to point B.
Now touching the cart is going to become precarious because of this gravitic flux which is up and coming from Piggy. It'll be difficult to mitigate, mostly the immortality field, but you want to try and deal with this one, and Simple.
Okay.
Can't use it too early.
Ant Matrix from Simple is gonna hose down Piggy. Gravitic Flux to try and pressure the people using that Ant Matrix and only catches Simple, and he hides into a corner. Farway is frozen by the Valentine's Blizzard, but hasn't taken a crumb of damage. Piggy getting run through, and Poker Face stabilized on the cards.
Curious, what are you talking about with Farway there being frozen by the Blizzard but not taking a crumb of damage? That must have been a big yeet from Valentine. It must have just wanted to freeze out Farway and then turn on to Piggy while he had no healing, which is an esoteric strategy, but hey, if it works, it works. No healing means no more tank, and now you have to try and make your way up through these narrow corridors against this brawly comp. Trying to get through that corner is going to be brutal against a Ramatra and a Mei, especially a Ramatra with an Annihilation in his back pocket. If he starts to take too much damage, just quickly refresh that armor and start pummeling again.
A little over a minute. Choice One is just constantly getting frozen up by this Valentine Mei. Dragon Strike from Jimmy. Not sure where it is. Probably separating this fight. Jimmy loses the hit scan duel to Arrow. Muse is antied, but he has the immortality and healing of his backline. Poker Face pushing in to win the frontline duel. But Muse has truly met his match in terms of frontline brawling. And Poker Face could be using more ultimates to try and win these fights more cleanly, but you force out the Transcendence of Xerneas. And this is a stagger that Charge just can't afford.
Oh, that was a truly Transcendence of all time. I'm not feeling very cheesed. My chakras are not happy, Lemon.
Xerneas is on an off angle with Jimmy potentially and didn't want to give up that off angle positioning. Grab Flux from Piggy hits Muse. Annihilation, he blocks through. Sound Bear and Ant Matrix. A big investment from Poker Face. I was waiting to see that. Brings this fight down to 20 seconds for the Charge. And
Xerneas will not be a part of that fight. Probably going to have to swap over now onto the Lucio or the Kiriko, Moira, anything. Jimmy's gone too. Can anyone even touch here, Lemon? This might be Guangzhou Charge fumbling the bag a little bit in Poker Face, buying themselves back into this series and denying a sweep.
Choice One almost got done dirty by the wall being a little too slippery. Piggy has to be the next to anchor, but behind him is a Blizzard from Valentine, the overclock from Arrow. Poker Face have done it. They've slain the Charge on this map and will be winning Shambali to potentially cause a reverse sweep. MTD, sort of misspelled by Arrow, but the feeling nonetheless is portrayed.
There's certainly something to be said for misspelling a three-letter acronym. that takes some real doing, but I'll tell you what, Poker Face, excellent proactive gameplay, hunting out Xerneas that early and forcing a Transcendence on a flanking Zen, really utilizing the Lucio, and that's something that we had a big complaint about from Poker Face when they were playing the Ramatra defense comp on Hollywood. I'm happy to see that it's been addressed, and they're finally actually using what the Lucio brings to the table, and Aiden has been able to lead this team into so many unfair fights that have gone completely their way.
Muse, although getting the support of the NTD from Arrow, it's not giving MTD in his face. You know, he's just seems to be so deep in thought, meditating. But he did seem very measured. Muse seemed very measured on his approaches with the Ramatra. Only fed once with Valentine, but honestly with a rush comp, it's kind of feast or famine in that situation. But Poker Face on their map choice took Shambali, but can they go all the way? The next map will be Escort, and it's Charge that will have the choice. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back, everyone. What an exciting match. Charge started off kind of firing on all cylinders on match point. Pokerface, though, on their map choice of Shambali, have started to bring things back. Muse is looking a little bit more lively. Thanks to Arrow starting to type NTD in chat.
You've always got to rely on your homies to bring you back into it. Muse far too polite, far too cultured, far too genteel to go for that kind of low-brow comment in chat. But Arrow, obviously being a Hanzo / hit scan player, you know that every single one of them is just a big ball of BM waiting to be unleashed. And hey, if Arrow could do it, why not? As we're going to head over to our push map next, Lemon. Pokerface are still gripping, hoping, dreaming of reverse sweeping against our #1 seed in the Guangzhou Charge.
And that would be the biggest upset of the bracket thus far. Shanghai Dragons are the only Owl team to lose so far, and that was to SPG, kind of that middle-of-the-pack Korean team from Contenders. So Pokerface, a lot of expectations behind them, kind of rivaling O2 Blast as that the most promising Contenders team to most likely cause an upset if they had a title in the yearbook. That would be them. But the Charge are they're a tough beast. They're #1 in APAC for a reason. So I don't expect an upset.
Yeah, and Guangzhou Charge's only real weakness we saw exposed by Soul Inferno was their lack of ability to deal with a Wrecking Ball, but no Wrecking Ball from Pokerface. And that's not surprising. We didn't expect Muse to come in and play a bunch of that. Fix the hair, fix the head, fix the look, charisma from Muse, confidence, poise. And now Colosseo coming up on your screens. Somewhere out there, I can hear a distant echo. Remove the glass. Remove the glass. Some say Spilo is still crying.
Again.
And I'm sure that we're all going to enjoy a Battle of Ypres style 2-minute little bit of poking. Unless, of course, Arrow or Jimmy can open up with a well-placed shot. And hey, I'm starting to get hot on Arrow for that duel.
Yeah, Arrow's done a really good job of keeping these matches close, especially against Jimmy. On Colosseo, we didn't see Pokerface go to this push map in the open, but Colosseo was a map that Guangzhou Charge won against the Shanghai Dragons 65-55, so it was fairly close. It was around the, of course, Hanzo Tracer Winston dive, which has been the most popular and most comfortable composition for the Guangzhou Charge, and this is their map pick, so obviously feeling very confident on it.
Yeah, not going to Esperanza here, even though it's a good Winston map, simply because the Ramatra is very popular on Esperanza, and it feels like Pokerface. I mean, Colosseo is not necessarily a bad map for the Ram, but he certainly does have his problems with locomotion here, with limited access to the high grounds, and of course the glass, meaning that rushes can be fairly easily waylaid by playing jumps around that for either the Hanzo or the Winston. Still, I'm excited to see how the Ramatra meta starts to work out here. We might even see Pokerface actually go through the mid and try and just get up on top of Guangzhou Charge and completely ignore their side of the bot to just try and remove Jimmy's options.
And the lack of Tracer from Pokerface, again, maybe not subbing Finale in, was already a hint of the composition of Pokerface that Pokerface were gonna run. But Pokerface have to play confident, they have to play speedy, they have to get value out of this Lucio, and the Charge are not gonna want to brawl this close. Piggy is exposed. He did get walled off from his team, but playing his corners well. Bubble popped. He actually got boomed back into the corner. I'm not sure what happened. I think that was Aiden.
Yeah.
What a play from Poker Face. And now they need to take advantage of this moment, and so they have. Muse goes in, fed a little bit, didn't get as much backup as he wanted, but it's still a good initial push from Poker Face.
Aiden with a wraparound wall ride to manage to intercept Piggy midway through that leap. And remember, the weakness of Winston is all his momentum is in the initial leap of the jump pack. Doesn't get it afterwards, so if he's interrupted, he ain't going nowhere. Still waiting for Muse to come back. Pokerface have to play this a little bit more gingerly. But once Muse does return, I'm happy to see Pokerface are finally using the Lucio to the best of his ability, getting on top of these vulnerable members. Even if it's just Piggy, you've got to continuously be doing this damage and laying down that pressure.
I'm surprised at how much space Poker Face are giving. It's almost like they want to be out of dive range from the Winston so that Piggy doesn't have any opportunities to engage. Usually you see rush comps wanting to close the gap all the time, so Poker Face could be exposed to poke damage, but they're playing these corners very smartly. Poker Face are contesting the bot forever, and it's up to the Charge to pull the trigger on the dive. Piggy did get punished last time, and this is now going to be a bit easier when you have the Nano of far away.
Still, Guangzhou Charge a little bit happy to play this more slowly as they've got a better pick potential from the Hanzo compared to the Soldier. And there's the Nano.
Yeah, catching the arrow jump. No, it's used at the last second. Blizzard from Valentine thrown behind Piggy and even freezing him up before the Primal comes online. Is how Poker Face are playing this purely reactionary, this purely counter dive rush comp.
Yeah, it's almost just an anti-guerrilla bunker that's been set up here by Pokerface, just doing everything they can to make sure Piggy doesn't get to have any fun. Yes, the Primal Rage is now available, but Jimmy gets an opening pick on Valentine.
And the arrow manages to jump out of the dive, and Jimmy has gotten these picks, and he fragged out of his mind on Shambali. And Jimmy, because of this rush, is not going to take any pressure besides at range. It'll be up to Arrow to win that, but he gets stunned up by the rally of Xerneas. Manages to jump out, get the sound barrier. Great call from Aiden. What can Poker Face get out of this fight? Well, you force a disengage of the Charge. Choice A1 could be lurking with the Pulse Bomb, but with Charge constantly disengaging, Poker Face can take up so much more space.
Xerneas in big trouble now. The Annihilation looking to beat down that brig. Still, everyone can move away from this ultimate now, and it'll quickly dissipate. A beautiful sleep from far away to rescue this.
Choice A1 missing that. Arrow dodging. Choice A1 converges on the tanks and the rest of Poker Face. Where the rush composition is the weakest is in these open areas. I predict Poker Face winning these fights in these pillar phases, but as soon as they extend to stairs, it's gonna suffer.
Yeah, Poker Face, that's why they continually fall back into that pillars area and try and play it defensively, even if it does mean completely limiting their overall progress on the objective. Aiden's still a brave little frog that could, but you got to be careful. Those gorillas are going to eventually turn you to mincemeat. He's continuing to take this damage though, and it's just feeding more ult charge over to Farway.
Oh, Piggy, he's running buck wild. He has the Nano when Jimmy delivers damage at the front. As Poker Face are down by 2 and now getting staggered more with that fight win. Charge will be taking the lead and going towards the forward checkpoint.
Oh, Piggy just being weapons grade annoying up in this apartment was such a problem for Poker Face. They could not path onto Farway, knowing that Piggy could easily slip in behind them, start cleaving Aiden and Simple and force out an early immortality field, which they're trying to save for something like a Pulse Bomb, like a Rally, like a Dragon Strike, all of which are coming up now for the Guangzhou Charge.
Dragon Strike to help Piggy. It's in the first floor. Piggy's on the top floor, making noise for the neighbors. Poker Face hoping to contest maybe, but again, without this Tracer, you don't have great objective presence. They do fall to the low ground to maybe deny that forward spawn. Charge start investing their own ultimates. It's the rally from Xerneas, who finds himself dueling against a Mei, forcing the ice block. Piggy needs to peel for this as well. Xerneas walled off, still has Valentine to deal with, and Xerneas has been left alone. Charge really lost focus at that point. Choice A1 gets some nice picks, but I don't know if it's going to be enough.
Choice A1 might still be feeling it here. Piggy has to disengage. Choice A1 wants to get Aiden. He could force out that sound barrier to try and secure this fight. It would be beautiful, but Guangzhou Charge simply don't have the personnel to make it happen at this point. But with the forward spawns here, Guangzhou Charge are going to be able to recontest this rather fast, even if I don't think it's necessarily in their interest to try and contest this within the pillars and once again try and draw Pokerface out into those more open areas where the Ramatra really suffers due to the amount of distance he has to cover.
I think Pokerface will have an easier time getting out of pillars and onto the stairs with how many ults they have, but they cannot be scared. They can't let Charge drain their time bank. This is the best chance for Pokerface. Their backline got antied. Piggy makes the call. He jumps in with Nano. Great reaction from Aiden with the sound beer, but how do Pokerface punish this? They see the Piggy jump back. Arrow jumps to the back, to the high ground, and almost dunks on two. Simple had to get involved, but Piggy trades with an equal 2K, so Pokerface are not thriving in this fight. Thought they had to jump on the Charge. Now the Charge are investing more and more ults. You got probably the pulse bomb coming out, but mainly the primal rage that is just ruining Pokerface.
I don't know how much value the May is really bringing to this comp. It synergizes well with the Ramatra, yes, but it means that they're sharing the same weakness of having trouble getting up onto those well-positioned supports. Farway just feels immortal right now. Even with Arrow bearing down on him with an overclock, still managing to dodge out of the way and duel for long enough for Piggy to be able to come in and clean up two players on high ground in both Simple and Arrow.
Choice of One's still running on 0 deaths, by the way, so that shows you just how he's left unchecked due to the lack of Tracer on Pokerface. But neither of these players that comfortable on it. Arrow has maybe played one map of it, but the Blizzard's thrown by Valentine. It does stun Xerneas. You remove the rally potential. Pokerface also funneling damage using the Amp Matrix. Arrow spotting the push from Choicey One. Simple in trouble. Piggy follows up, and the Charge dive prevails again when Pokerface seems to have a heads-up start to these fights. Muse doesn't know whether to push forward or to peel for his backline, and that is the confusion and the chaos that Charge seems to thrive in.
Piggy just continues to get out scot-free right here, and Arrow making a poor disengagement choice, sliding through the bubble, which not only stopped any healing from coming through, but also directly into the path of a nade coming through from far away. And right now, Piggy managing to out-damage Muse with just a vanilla Winston damage, which is not great news. It means that Muse is having trouble getting onto these targets, but like Farway and Xerneas, who should be easy frags for a speed-boosted Ramatra. This geography is simply better for the Winston.
Piggy's also getting nanoed, which helps just the damage mitigation and doing more damage in general. Muse doesn't have an Ana, just the speed and the sustain as Pokerface after an important decision to make about this sound beer. The immortality is drained away. Arrow's in trouble. Aiden punts it, but it's not enough to save Arrow. It took too long to pull the trigger. Annihilation from Muse, seeing if they can get that trade. Charge are starting to feel it. Piggy, Primal is already gone, and Jimmy is removed. You got barely any healing and barely any damage if you're the Charge, and this is a chance for Pokerface to try and take a lead. But there was also a back cap by Piggy and maybe Choice One, making Pokerface's journey back so much longer.
And that back cap, Lemon, is so important here, not just because it extends the journey back and allows the forward spawns, but this also means that Pokerface have to push past the butt scratch. They need to win another fight after that checkpoint to be able to equal that overall distance. Piggy's play right there might have just won Guangzhou Charge this map if Pokerface are going to win the next fight. And with a Blizzard, they might well be able to. I'd love to see Valentine do a May wall boost here to just put Muse up on there. Some old London Spitfire 2022 style.
It's more about trying to dodge Farway's antis. That's been kind of the spark plug to Charge's dives. And Aiden and Simple just maybe have to play a bit deeper into pillars, but they also want to be in line of sight of Muse. There is the prop up. Valentine misses it. He'll have to ice block, but he can focus on pushing the bot. He will Blizzard himself. Pokerface descend to help their May player. And this kind of works out. You pick off Jimmy and Xerneas. Pokerface don't have Simple, though, so it's pure Lucio heals for Muse, as Arrow has the overclock. You have the forward spawn for Pokerface available in a second. 8 meters away for Pokerface, and a chance to force a game 5 if they can go to the end. A sound-beer engage doesn't hit Valentine, but Piggy is nanoed. He's close to Primal, but Arrow isn't concerned with him.
They all left the point. They all left the point.
No shot! No shot! That just happened! Oh my god! Everyone, stop and clip this moment. Stop it!
Oh, stop the presses. I can't believe it. They all just left. They just got up, said, I'm done with this game, and they left. And oh, Valentine looking pretty forlorn. The same for me. I can't believe they messed up that Ramatra boost as well. Backbone, he ain't. Skull emoji.
Show me the chat. Show me the chat. I want to see what Piggy wrote. Please.
I'll give you a clue as to what he wrote. It was 2 letters and it was repeated multiple times.
That's frustrating for Poker Face. That was very winnable. Yes, they didn't have simple, maybe a lot of healing. The sound barrier though, plus arrows starting to pop off. You just needed Valentine to probably be the one who anchored the cart there. But again, not having a Tracer makes that job so difficult. You don't have as much sustainability or as much mobility to kind of survive on your own. Just a big miscomm in these stressful moments. That really hurts for Poker Face.
It is excruciating. I am feeling anguish, despair, depression even. It is, I feel like I've been robbed an absolute climactic battle. It's as if we got to the 3rd act of an action film and they said like, okay, everybody out, film's done. That's quite enough there. And, I mean, the threat was there, right? Like, there was a nano on Piggy. And Aiden did not want to fight that. Yeah, and he was on the bot. You don't want to fight that as a Lucio. But that means you've got to make the call to Muse. Hey bro, homie, my guy, you've got to go and fight this very angry Winston. That's your job.
That was so winnable by Poker Face. And it took them so many tries to break out of that pillar phase after winning the first fight of Colosseo. But Charge just ran circles around them. And it was all thanks to this player. Your player of the match is Farway on the Ana.
And what a game it was for Farway. I've been singing this guy's praises for so long. I think that Farway actually has some of the best positioning of a bunch of Anas that I've seen. Our replay package should be coming up soon to let you see exactly what Farway was doing. But whenever we popped into the Farway POV, he was always sprinkling a little bit of damage here and there, just helping out in those DPS duels and making sure that Choice M1 consistently had an advantage in those.
Yeah, I think Farway had the game-winning play of nanoing Choice M1 at the end of the OT Hollywood. So many fights won by his anti-grenades. He picked off the Tracer on the other side on Ilios. Farway is just incredible on the Ana, and that's difficult to be able to output as much damage and healing and make as many plays as he does. And every nano going to his tank player, of course, to make that all happen. I know Piggy was a happy boy with Farway on his team, and how can you not be? So many anti-nades in these neutral fights won because of him.
There's the first of many beautiful antis to allow Muse to be absolutely demolished. Of course, Farway is always ready to follow it up, and you've got to have such excellent decision making as an Ana in the midst of these chaotic fights. There are so many people who need help, so many scenarios in which you can be the make or break for your team. And Farway, I think a big reason why we're seeing Guangzhou Charge pop off as much as they do is that Farway continues to make the right decisions when it matters the most.
Hitting sleeps, dodging pulse bombs. He's somehow living in that 1v2, and that is very difficult for an Ana to do. And just being able to duel against Tracers is what makes him an Overwatch League caliber Ana player. And just the nano plays and knowing who to nano is between Xerneas, Piggy, or Choice A1. And the fact that it was Choice A1 at the end of Hollywood is what won that. Is the nanos onto Xerneas help their backline get less deaths than Aiden and Simple. And it's tough to collapse onto Farway and Xerneas when Muse started going towards the Ramatra instead of the Winston mirror.
That sleep accretion and nade combo on Muse as well. Map rescuing, even though it wasn't Guangzhou Charge's map in the end. And we saw another beautiful sleep here onto Muse. Shutting down that Ramatra often fell to Farway, and while it might have been tough to do on Shambali, it seems like he certainly got the hang of it on Colosseo, where he could continuously exploit those high grounds, and good positioning made Farway basically untouchable on that map.
So the Charge will move on to the upper bracket final to face the winner of our next match, Hangzhou Spark versus the Seoul Dynasty. And Poker Face will be dropping down to face either Dreamers or Rhodes. I would have to check the bracket second. We're covering all the upper bracket semifinals today. So we have Hangzhou Spark versus Seoul Dynasty. We're also waiting for an interview with Farway. And then we'll have the bracket B semifinals of Seoul, O2, Dallas, and SPG. Those are going to be some banger matches too.
Oh yeah, we're all looking forward to Seoul Infernal versus O2 Blast. That much is for sure. I'm personally wondering if Seoul Dynasty can bring it to a team that is not from contenders, if they can hang against a team like Hangzhou Spark that really has been a gatekeeper in APAC. Sonjun, I've got to admit, he excites me. It's been an excellent rise up for this 17-year-old player, one of the youngest that we have in the league. And yeah, like you said, we're going to have ourselves a quick chat with Farway real soon, which is going to be awesome. We've got our translator, Evelyn, standing by.
Okay. We are hearing that Farway is ready, and we have our translator, Evelyn, on the line. So, Evelyn and Farway, do you hear us? Hello, does everyone hear us? Because we don't hear you.
Oh no! Don't worry. This will get sorted out real soon. We're just patching people in to make sure that everyone's well acquainted with each other and can hear each other's wonderful mouth sounds.
It looks calm though, and I bet the end of that map was pretty funny. You thought you had to do that last fight, and arrows popping off in the overclock, and all of a sudden you see 9. So we're patching in Farway now, and we'll have Evelyn translating too. All right, Farway, do you hear us now? Evelyn, do you hear us now? Nope. Okay.
Well, if they're hearing us bigly right now because we're all up on the screen. You know what? Farway does look cool. He's got ice in his veins, Lemon. That's entirely necessary for every Ana player because Ana is Ana's a character where it's easy to panic. Everyone needs your help and everyone's competing for your resources, and you have to be able to mentally do a checklist of what's the most important, what you're going to prioritize in every single moment. And I'm always very impressed by how well Ana players can juggle that kind of priority dancing, and Farway does that incredibly well. It's a big part of the Guangzhou Charge success.
Well, the Charge, I mean, their only blemish was dropping Shambali, but it was a bit difficult. Jimmy was getting pressured a lot more, taking these off angles with, I believe, Cernius on the Zen. And then Poker Face kind of got more aggressive with their Ramatra. But it sounds like our interview might be ready. Evelyn, Farway, do you hear us?
Hi, Farway，远方选手听得到吗？
什么原因啊？就没有声音啊？不是，他是从手机里面出来的。
He still
你把
can't hear
手
us.
机的声音打开。
Okay, Farway still can't hear us. Oh, we can hear?
Hello.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Hi.
Congratulations, Farway, on the match. Player of the match, congrats on that as well. What type of critical decision making goes into, nanoing Tracer, Brig, or Winston in these stressful fights?
好的，首先恭喜远方选手获胜比赛，并且拿到今天的全场最佳。那么第一个问题是想知道，在玩安娜的时候，激素的选择是怎么样的呢？因为你有温斯顿和锤妹和裂空都可以给激素嘛，想知道你的选择逻辑是什么样子
的。这个的话要看这波团我们准备的计划是什么。如果说是用激素去开团的话，那就先手给到星星。如果说这波团要用来背体的话，就是用来防守反击的话，就是会给到半藏或者小锤，对，大概是这么写。
So the nano decision is up to our purpose of the team fight. If you want to engage and be really active, proactive, we will give nano to Winston and let him to open the room and we engage and start a team fight. And if we are going to bait their ults and want to play slow and play back, we will give our nano to Hanzo or Brick to keep them survive, and so that we can fight back after enemy use their ults.
Oh, that's awesome. Very insightful. Thank you. Speaking of Winston's, Piggy has been typing a lot today. Piggy brings good energy to the team. Why does he like to type so much?
那么下一个问题是，说到了温斯顿嘛，我们看到 Piggy 今天在左下角抠了很多的字，想问一下，为什么 Piggy 这么喜欢和大家互动呢？
可能因为他跟对面是他的好朋友吧，然后他想从这个心理上的这个防线击溃他们。因为赢了不抠，什么时候抠呢？对吧？
And it might because Piggy has good relationship with the enemy team players, and also he wants to like give some mental pressure towards them so they can win. And also he just said like, when would you be fun, be arrogant when you're winning? Yeah, that's what you should do when you're winning.
I love Piggy. He's hilarious to watch, especially the C9 spam at the end. With your team being half Chinese and half Korean, what's the communication like on the team, and who's the leader?
那么 Pig 选手也确实是一个非常有意思的选手。然后下一个问题是因为队伍是中韩混班嘛，想知道在沟通这方面是怎么样进行的，同时谁会是一个主要的发起这种口号和号召的人呢？
这个是要看情况的。然后，我们的话平时沟通是用英语。然后，因为想要成为一个好的 team，应该是每一个人都要去参与到沟通那边去。所以说，比如说下一波团战谁想去做一些什么事情，这个人就做一个发起者啊。如果说把这个沟通的这个和这个工作都交给一个人的话，游戏会变得非常的累。所以说我们每个人都会尝试去沟通，去领导节奏这样子。
So the language we are communicating is definitely English. So there is no certain main caller because all of us want to make sure like everyone's thoughts are heard and shared, so we can know what the team need to do. So the short caller will differ from like who want to do something in this team fight, and he will lead us to do what he think is right.
Okay,
Yeah, because
very
that
nice.
will that's what the team called.
For me, I'm wondering, Guangzhou Charge looks so much better than in 2022, but it's mostly the same players. So what changed from 2022 to now to make Guangzhou Charge so good?
那么下一个问题是我们知道广州从去年到现在其实阵容上是没有太大变化的，但是今年的表现就比去年下半年好了很多，想知道是做了一些什么关键的举措能够让队伍有这样一个进步呢？
我觉得首先是我们的教练在于战术上面的指导，还有队员这个沟通上面的调整，我做的比较好吧。然后再加上因为我们这个赛季的话，现在因为都是在线上嘛，条件也比较困难，再加上有沟通的这个障碍，所以说我们这5个人会更珍惜这个赛季的每一场比赛。所以劲往一处使，应该就会稍微好一点。当然，我也没有觉得我们现在有多特别的好，还要继续努力吧。
So firstly, we definitely need to thank to our coach. He made a lot of like strategy plans and help us correct our mistakes. And the other reason is because we are or playing online in the season and we are not together. So we really treasure this time, treasure like every match we play. So we really want to win, and with everyone have that in mind, I think that would make us perform better in this season. But also, I think we have been good enough for this season, so I think we can improve much and become better. Yeah, in the following season.
Well, the improvements have definitely shown. Thank you so much for your time, Farway, and for the interview, and best of luck in the upper bracket final.
好的，感谢采访，同时也希望接下来广州队在圣牛组的决赛里能够取得好成绩。感谢。
好，谢谢 ，Thank you everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Farway.
And thank you, Evelyn, for the translation. So we'll say bye to Farway, and we'll see them in the upper bracket final to face the winner of Hangzhou Spark and the Seoul Dynasty. So
yeah, Hangzhou Spark and the Seoul Dynasty. It's going to be very interesting. Hangzhou Spark have definitely been in 2 camps when it comes to the overall efficacy. Against the lower tier teams like your Dallas Fuel, your Shanghai Dragons, and your Seoul Dynasty. Previously, they've been doing very well, but in the more recent battles against our upper half of APAC, like Guangzhou Charge and Seoul Infernal, it's been very weak for the Hangzhou Spark. So we have to see how they'll do against a resurgent Seoul Dynasty, who have been a little bit who have been a little bit better. We're gonna chase the cams eventually. Don't worry. We won't hold Farway hostage much
He is our
longer. But we
hostage.
just enjoy looking at
Okay.
his face.
Well, we will give him a break and y'all a break at home because next up we have Hangzhou Spark versus Seoul Dynasty. We'll see you there.